Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Second Curve Success by Serving, or the VIP Success Club. I'm Dr. Greg Sanders, your host today. Our guest today is going to be Mike Hayes, one of the co-founders of the Max community and a very close partner in working with me. We also have Alex Hitt, our TikTok expert in the room that we just interviewed this week. Today, just to kind of get things going, I want to just talk about the power of a daily habit when it comes to sales. Let's say that you do what most people do and you reach out to new prospects when you get time, when you get around to it. Well, you know as well as I do that you could have 3 or 4 days or 3 or 4 weeks go by and so many other things pile into your day, you never do reach out to new prospects. Let's say, on the other hand, that you were very conservative in your goals for reaching out to people. And whether it's on LinkedIn or TikTok or Facebook or whatever social media platform you're on, your goal is to reach out to one person every day and to be able to start inviting them to your offer, which could be a free consultation, or it could be a free download or PDF that you have, or a membership program, whatever your offer is. But let's say you just make the goal of reaching out to one person a day, and you do that 5 days a week. Now the month has gone by. 4 weeks times 5 days is 20 prospects. You now have the basis of a profitable business. Over a year's period of time, you will have reached out to 240 prospects, and you can run the number. If 10 people or 10% sign up for your program, you have 24 new clients. If half of them sign up for your program, you now have 120 new clients. Now we have something we can play with. Let's say that you want to reach out to 2 people a day. Now we're talking 10 a week or 40 a month, and you can run up the numbers. Or you can do what Eric Worre and other people recommend that you do, and that is just to go for broke and just to have massive action. And let's say that you reach out to 5 or even 10 people a day. I want you to think in terms of a pipeline. Don't think about closing these people and making a sale on the first day you start having a conversation with them. Think about this like relationship building. You reach out to them, you express interest in what they're doing, you are honestly impressed with their business, with their credentials, with their experience, you like them as a person, and you just start a friendship. Now think of a hose or a garden hose. You just start a conversation, and then maybe the next day or two you reach out again. It may be 3 or 4 days down the line before you actually set up that one-on-one appointment or you take them to the next level. But if you start today and you think of that as moving people through that pipeline, then in 3 or 4 days, every day you'll have 1 person, 2 people, 5 people, 10 people that you have actually cultivated and you're ready to have a relationship with. So this is one thing we do in the sales school of selling, is we help you come up with concepts and action plans that put the bottom line and your profit line on the line when it comes to what you're doing. I'm going to be calling up Mike Hayes, who is brilliant at making sales, mindset coaching, and he has been working on a project. So I'm going to add his spotlight to what we're doing. And how's it going today, Mike?
Wonderful. We had a great speed networking event this morning, and we're having fun.
Absolutely. So I know that we've interviewed you before on our podcast platform, but you just came out with a brand new platform or a brand new content for networkingbeat.com. Tell us a little bit about your project.
Well, and let me add one thing to what you said that works for me, because I have the Max CRM. And, you know, when you have that, when you have the funnel, it kind of takes your need to be self-motivated to go out and get those people. What actually happens for me is they just appear in my calendar. So if I feel like networking with them or not, they're the boss and they go, "Hey, Mike, come on, I want to talk." So it really is a whole different ball game. It's almost like having a bot that's your boss and kind of saying, "Hey, it's time to get to work and do some networking, Mike." So anyway, I just wanted to give that to you about the CRM. So let me do a quick screen share with you. And I think this would be pretty important because I have been at this for about 30 years. Now, one ironic thing is that I was with NBC Sports in New York. In fact, Sports Illustrated wrote an article about me and my partner because they said we had the dream job in sports broadcasting. The reason that was the case is because we would cover the news side of sports no matter who had the rights to it. So we'd cover the Masters, even though CBS had the rights to it. We'd still go out and cover the Masters and do all the interviews. I covered Final Four, Indianapolis 500, Kentucky Derby. I mean, there is nothing in sports that I didn't cover multiple years. And I interviewed many of the world's greatest coaches, Dean Smith of North Carolina basketball. I mean, you name them, and I probably interviewed them and learned a lot from them. So then I went on to the networking industry and in the TV infomercial industry, Greg. My point is that I became known as the network king of the electronic retailing industry. And that really, at that time, as Bob Proctor taught me, kind of made me like a professional athlete of networking, okay? Because I was going to 1 to 3 trade shows every single month. And through that networking, I was selling over $1 million a year of my own mentoring and coaching for 15 straight years. So that allowed me to manifest and really attract a property. And I had this vision in my mind. I didn't have the property. I didn't have a bank loan. I had nothing. And but I manifested in my mind. I walked into a realtor's office one day and said, I'd like to buy this piece of property where I could build a building at, maybe someplace out in the country or something. And he said, well, you don't have to go out in the country. There's a place right here in Lafayette where I have my real estate office. It was an orchard. And so it's actually zoned to have employees. And I went, and it was crazy. So I went and looked at it and I called my wife up and I said, I don't care what you're doing. You come over here right now. And guess what? It was built on a ravine. So it didn't have enough space to put the other building that I wanted to build on. So I actually had to build the yard first. And we spent 6 months bringing in dirt to fill it in and shore up a new plateau on the property, which I'm sitting on right here, to build the second plateau so I could build our TV studio on that new platform. So really, I really have manifested everything I ever wanted in my life. And now I look at myself, if I was a young, young professional football player, well, if you're good, what do? You go on and you become a coach. Well, now that's how I feel. I feel like I am now a professional coach of the young athletes, if you will, of networking, like Alex hit, who is, and you know what? Alex is my mentor on TikTok. So, that's what I love is CrossGroup networking is about old, young, men, women, black, white, brown, yellow, everybody coming together, into a minestrone soup of networking, and really all of us helping each other in a community like the Max community. So I'm having a blast. I'm having so much fun, and I'm interviewing people, and then I'm promoting the interviews about how to win friends and influence people in networking with TikTok, thanks to Alex.
So I'm very impressed with the interviews that you've been able to do with some very high level leaders within the networking space. Show us some of the videos that are now available on your website.
Not only videos, Greg, but really a lot of resources. So if you come to Networking Beat right here, and again, I was trained at NBC as a two-time Peabody Award-winning documentary director to really be aggressive. And so that's how I've been able to land interviews with people like, Oprah Winfrey and Tony Robbins and Steve Jobs and David Siegel, the CEO of Meetup, who has 40 million users. So it's not easy to get to people like David Siegel. You really have to know what you're doing in networking, and you have to be willing to really go for it. So that is how I got to people that I've been able to network with and to share. You'll see this interview where he is asking me for advice about the best ways that I can help him market Meetup. Now, that's one part of it. And watch that video, and you're going to see a lot of resources on Networking Beat that he talks about and wanted me to share with Meetup organizers. And I was a Meetup organizer of Northern California, 200,000 followers, 40 million worldwide. But here's what happened. Okay. I was trained to be aggressive and to market products and to get to key people. But you know what? In networking, that just doesn't work. It does not work. Being aggressive and just pitching people, that just doesn't work. It is so night and day different marketing products and marketing people and our humanity and our souls, our hearts. And that's why I had to retrain myself to really bring out kind of the softer side of Mike, if you will, the heart and soul. And that's why I've really focused on multiple books I've read, Think and Grow Rich. And this is one of the first things I was introduced to when I got into the NBC apprentice program. And first thing I did was create the Johnny Carson talk show game. I've also read, because of ideas that just explode when you start reading books like that. I also read How to Win Friends and Influence People. But I was trained to be aggressive at NBC and kind of got away from that. But I really have gotten back to that softer side. And now I want to interview people that will read that book, because I'm interviewing people about what not to do in networking. That is so important.
Can we talk about that for a minute? I know that, there are a lot of things that we should be doing, but what are 2 or 3 mistakes that you see brand new networkers make?
Being overly aggressive and just trying to be loud and just pitch their stuff, talk over people, and just that's all they think about is themselves. That is the polar opposite of what you should be doing. That is the exact opposite. You could not be doing it more wrong than that. It's the opposite. You got to look at serving the other person, listening to the other person, making that other person in your own mind genuinely more important, because we all desire to be important. That's just a human thing that makes us all part of being human. So, you really want to concentrate on what they want, not what you want. And I've been to the top of the mountain, guys. I know how to get there. I want to lead other people. I want to help other people avoid the mistakes. And people come into networking events. It looks simple. And they just come in, they kind of clutter things up, make mistakes, and They're not organized. They don't really know what they're doing. And it really becomes kind of a hot mess, and nothing's getting done. They're not making any money. I know that because I poll them, hey, are you making? No. What do you need? I need a new mindset. That's what they tell us. And so that's what I want to help people to do, is get that new super productive mindset of what is new, what's current. And that's why one of the things I want to do in the Max community is there's so much chatter and noise on television, every negative thing in the world, they're loading into our minds, how bad everything is, and online. And it really becomes the distraction syndrome. Where it's really hard to stay focused on what you should be doing, what's going to work for you, what's going to be productive for you, who you should be working with. So I want to challenge people, to bring their best practices and see what works and what doesn't. So that's why I've always been an R&D guy in media research and development. And that's really what we're doing in the Max community. We want to test things. We want to test new things. We want to test things that people tell us are great. but we want to make them work. We want to see them work, and we want to help people avoid mistakes.
Yeah, so let's bring this full circle. So my welcome and my teaching moment had to do with coming up with a daily habit that moves people forward in relationship building. Now, you could do that in an aggressive way. Right. In other words, you could try to make the sale as soon as you meet someone brand new, or you could ask for too much. You could say, hey, give me 30 minutes of your time so I can pitch you on whatever. But you still need, so how do you balance the idea of having concrete, specific goals of reaching out to people with a softer approach that you recommend as being most successful?
You nailed the right word, balance.
Mm-hmm.
That you use the word balance, and that's what you need, because everybody is different and what they are offering is different too. So you need the right balance for the right product and the right offer. It's like the scale of justice. If you put too much on one side, the other side goes out of the picture. If you put too much on one side, so you really need to find that right balance for your offer, and you got to go after it aggressively enough to make it happen. Like my mentor, Bob Proctor, taught me, you can't always be studying or learning stuff. You've got to go out and practice it and put it to work. Everything is a balance, and every offer requires a different balance.
Mm-hmm. That sounds great. I'm going to see if Alex can join us here. How you doing, Alex?
Oh, I'm doing great. Mike, you're on fire today. And I really think, Mike, the best things, you have reached the kind of the mountaintop, as you said, and you're showing other people, but man, the best things are really to come, because we've talked a lot, and I was just really impressed, and you really are a master at networking and nailed, I think, every single point of it. So thank you for sharing. Yeah.
Well, you know what? It came from 15 solid years of covering 1 to 3 media marketing trade shows every month for 15 straight years. I was so inundated with information from every top world-class marketer on the planet, including the TV sharks. They're friends of mine. I did product judging at trade shows. So there's nothing under the sun in networking that I haven't seen or experienced or been deeply involved in. And now I just want to share it. And we've got a lot of resources on Networking Beat to help us to do that.
I think that when it comes to speaking and being in business, you need to know your audience, right? Back in Speech 101 class in college, the first rule is know your audience. And I think that if I'm trying to pitch a program to a consumer, like at a trade show, it's a whole different conversation than if I'm doing a B2B conversation where each of us have a business. And I think that's a basic insight that people need to know. Let's say I have company X with product X, and here's a consumer. I'm going to ask them questions about, hey, wouldn't you rather have a healthier something for whatever? Or what do you think about, and I engage in a dialogue without selling them something. I ask them a question that almost requires a yes response, and I sell them a product. But if I'm talking to someone who has their own business, I could say, hey, can I have 30 minutes of your time to pitch my program to you? Or I could say, I'm intrigued by your company and your program. When could we sit down for you to tell me a little bit more about that? Which approach is going to be more successful to someone that has a business? It's the one where I'm asking them about their program, right? And then you say, hey, when we do that, would you mind if I shared a little bit about my program as well? They're going to say, of course, because I've expressed interest in them, and now we're being reciprocal. But I've had so many people in networking things say, hey, I have my program. This is what I can do for you. Or on LinkedIn, they reach out to me and they say, here's my program. Here's everything that we can do for you. Are you interested? They haven't asked me any questions about myself. They haven't built me up, edified me, expressed interest, listened to me. None of that. It's just like, here's my thing. Let me pitch you on it. But how easy is it just to say, can you tell me something about yourself? Let's get together and you tell me a little bit about what you're doing, right? I mean, it's so basic. Alex, how does that kind of a mentality fit into TikTok? Because I know TikTok and business are just kind of a new emerging field.
Yeah. Knowing your audience, that's so key. I did online networking an entire year previously. And I'll be perfectly honest, I didn't make a single sale for 1 year. And it was because I didn't know the audience. I didn't have a product for the audience. At the time I was selling real estate here in Hawaii, right? Millions of dollars to buy a house here in Hawaii. And I'm talking to online networkers, solopreneurs, it's just not the right product for them. But I said, man, this is an amazing opportunity. I'm talking to so many people. I'm meeting so many people. If I had a product, cheap, affordable, could really move the needle on their business, well, wow, this is a wide open, warm market. Created that product this year, and it's been gangbusters. So knowing your audience, what you said, so incredibly important. It's not that you're a bad salesperson, necessarily. It's that, the product, you're not maybe addressing your audience. The audience on TikTok, a lot of advice they give is, speak to that one person. You can have an account of millions of people, but if you can't sell the one, well, then you're not going to sell a million.
Yeah.
And so being able to talk, I always say to people, at the very beginning of the video, identify your audience, right? You can say, are you this type? Are you a small business owner looking to grow on TikTok? That's how I identify my audience, right? And then speaking directly to them and their pain point is so important. So important, yeah.
I love that. Well, your bank account will be happier if you make one sale instead of 1 million followers, right?
Right.
So you need followers, but can you talk to us about the conversion process when you do get a lot of followers on TikTok? How do you then create a significant sales conversation?
Yeah. So, people talk about know, like, and trust. And really the first part of that is know. First, they got to know you before they like you and trust you. So that's kind of the first barrier, right? The number one, I think, obstacle on social media is obscurity. Nobody knows who you are. And so you do have to reach a lot of people, right? Mm-hmm. But then you got to reach them with the right message. So what I say is 80-20, right? 80% of the time I am trying to reach a mass audience. I'm trying to get my name out there. And then 20% of the time I'm doing like the straightest sales pitch you've ever seen in your life. And I do what Russell Brunson talks about, which is the click funnel, right? Or, how a click funnel works is a hook, a story, and an offer. And that's done on the web. And it has the success that it does because it has a really high conversion rate. Well, I use TikTok as an audio visual click funnel or sales funnel. And we do that exact same thing. We hook them, we talk to our audience, we address their pain point, we capture their attention, we give them a little story, right? Stories sell, facts smell, as they say, right? We give them a little story, and then we give them an offer, right? If you want somebody to buy something from you, you got to let them know that you have it. Because I talk to people who have 25,000 followers on TikTok and they don't make any sales. And I ask them, have you ever talked about your product? Have you ever gone and told them that you sell a product? Well, no, I haven't. Well, you got to let them know, or they're not going to just do it. They're not going to go through all the legwork themselves to discover you have a product and how it's going to help. You got to educate them of how you can serve. So, conversion is a really popular conversation on TikTok, a really, common question. And it always comes back to, okay, what's your video about? Are you addressing your audience? Do you know what's the offer? Does it make sense for that audience? And so, yeah. Even though you have 1 million followers, doesn't mean you're going to have $1 million.
I was thinking about, the analogous thing about me having one sales conversation a day, sort of in the traditional way, to what TikTok is happening is you could say, well, I need to make one TikTok video a day or a couple of videos a day, right? I could make 1 video a day, 2 videos a day, 5 a day, almost like having sales conversations. But then if you realize there's a relationship between the two, so maybe you're doing the 80-20, you're doing all kinds of non-salesy stuff over there, but now and then you have to say, hey, by the way, I've got this other thing. But if you put the two together, now it's like, yes, I'm going to make 2 or 3 videos a day, but I'm also going to try to have 2 or 3 very targeted conversations with people on TikTok, identify them as individuals, right? I mean, does that make sense in terms of your methodology?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Because building a following on social media is great. And to build a mass following has tons of benefit. Of benefit. To have 1 million followers on TikTok, that is an incredible resource. To have 1 million email addresses is an incredible resource, right? But then you got to send them the right thing. Right. It's great to have 1 million email addresses, but you got to learn how to use them, right? So, I don't know if that answered your question, but yeah.
No, that was good. Go ahead, Mike.
To kind of close the gap between TikTok and your questions about closing the sale, if you think of it this way, and Alex will talk about this as well, TikTok is a great place to reach people, but you got to get them off TikTok ASAP. Then where do you want to get them? What you really want to do is you want to get them into a CRM where they want to connect with you on your calendar, but to do that, they have to be able to answer some questions, because until you can really use that questionnaire of what they really want, so that you can help them turn that want into a burning desire that they will do what it takes to get it, then you can really be win friends and influence people by knowing what they want. If you don't know what they want, you're like a preacher in New York talking to the wind. You know, I mean, they're like, they walk down the street just blah, 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 and they're talking to nobody. So you've got to be more organized and structured. And that's why a community is so important to keep you on track, help you stay on track, and avoid mistakes. And that's why I love the Max community. And I'm so thrilled that Alex is part of the Max community. So this is where it all comes together. You avoid mistakes and really get on the right track with the support of the people that care about you and will help you.
All right, let's bring it back to Networking Beat. So Mike, you have a number of interviews and videos and other materials. Do you have an interview with Alex Hitt on Networking Beat yet?
I have one planned, but tomorrow I'm interviewing Ted Lee, one of the dynamic co-founders of Blitzr, and what we're talking about is what not to do. In that he puts on a big networking event. I put on big networking events. Meetup puts on big networking events. We all know these are crazy things. What you should not be doing in networking. We want people to be successful, but that's what we have to talk about. So people come in and because they're in a networking event and they can talk, they think they understand networking, but they don't know what they don't know. So that's what we're trying to tell them is, like they don't know that they need a CRM. A lot of people don't. They just think that they don't need a CRM, but they do need a CRM. So we want to help them to avoid the mistakes. There's interviews on there with a lot of people. But one of the things I do want to do, you're right, is I do want to interview Alex about, because here's one of the things. Imagine this. Okay, I get 500 leads a month because I understand how to use Eventbrite. Okay, that's one thing. And that there's 20 million people out there looking for webinars and people that can give information on a webinar. So that's a great search engine, #1 search engine in the world for events. Number two is I want to interview people about really how to win friends and influence people. A lot of people hate sales, but they want to make money. And so I want to help them do it effectively and in a softer, methodical way. So I want to interview them. And then I want to post the interview on Eventbrite so they can be found, and on Networking Beat. And then the coup de grace is then I want to promote that interview on TikTok, where one of my videos has had almost 10,000 views. So imagine how long would you have to work on YouTube to get 10,000 views? And so, these are the kind of things that we're building that community on TikTok with Alex and his Facebook group. And go to, alexhitt.com, join us there. Get interviewed. We want to promote you all over the world, but mostly we want to promote you right in the Max community, because that's really what's going to make it happen. And you're going to have sustainable success, not roller coastering. 1 week you're up, next week you're down. 1 month you're up, next month you're down. So we want to help you have a sustainable success.
Thank you. All right, guys, we're going to wrap this up. This has been the Second Curve podcast. Our guest today was Mike Hayes, and we had a special guest attendee who also contributed, Alex Hitt. I'm sure Mike is going to very soon get around to interviewing Alex to put on networkingbeat.com as well. Right, Mike?
Well, as soon as I get lucky enough to get Alex on a Zoom call, it's done.
Very good. So again, Dr. Greg Sanders, everyone have a beautiful day, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you.